My grandfather left me his house. My family tried to steal it, until I found the secret room. When my grandfather died, I expected grief. I expected a funeral, some tears, maybe an awkward family gathering. I didn't expect to lose every ounce of trust one had in my own blood. And I definitely didn't expect to find a hidden room behind the bookshelf of his study, a room that changed everything. Background. My name's Aaron, 32M. I was raised mostly by my mom, but my grandfather, Pop, was a huge presence in my life. He was sharp, old school, and incredibly private. His house was the place I ran to when things got bad. He never said much, but when he did, it mattered. Pop lived in the same old Victorian house for over 50 years. It was a little run-down, full of dark wood, creaky floors, and secrets, or so I thought as a kid. He passed away last year at 86. Peacefully, in his sleep. He left behind a will. And that's where everything exploded. The will. At the reading, my mom and uncle, her brother, were both expecting something big. Pop was never flashy, but everyone knew he had money. Real estate, a pension, savings, and of course, the house. To everyone's surprise, including mine, the house wasn't left to my mom, or my uncle. He left it to me. Not the car. Not some furniture. Not a token sum. The entire house. The property. The land. All of it. In my name. My uncle's face turned red. My mom looked stunned, like she didn't understand what she was hearing. She wasn't angry, yet, but confused. Everyone thought the house would be sold and split. But it wasn't. The manipulation begins. The day after the will reading, I got a call from my uncle. He said, "Look, Aaron, I know what the will said, but let's be reasonable. You don't need that house. Let's sell it, split the money 3 ways, you, me, your mom. Fair and simple." When I politely declined, he got aggressive. "You think Pop left it to you because you deserve it?" He was old and confused. "You manipulated him." Then my mom started calling. At first, she was calm. Emotional. She said the house was part of her childhood. She helped take care of Pop. That it wasn't fair. That I could gift it back to the family. But I knew Pop. He didn't do things emotionally. If he left me that house, it was for a reason. So I stood firm. That's when the pressure started. Harassment from family. Someone filed a complaint with the local zoning board, said the house was abandoned and unsafe. I started getting anonymous notes in the mailbox. "We know you don't belong here. You're not family, you're a thief." I suspect it was my uncle. Maybe even my cousins. One night, I came home to find the back door unlocked and one of Pop's paintings missing from the wall. No sign of forced entry. That's when I decided to change the locks and install cameras. And that's when I found it. The hidden room. Pop had always told me not to mess with the bookshelf in his study. As a kid, I thought it was just filled with boring legal books. After the break-in, I was doing a full security sweep of the house when I noticed something odd. One of the shelves didn't align perfectly with the wall. I pushed. It clicked. And the bookshelf swung open. Behind it, a narrow staircase leading to a small, windowless room. Inside, there were 2 things. 1, a safe, with a digital code. 2, a shoebox filled with old letters, photos, and legal documents. I cracked the box first. What I found broke my heart. The truth about my family. The letters were from my grandmother, who died before I was born, and from my father, who had walked out on my mom when I was a baby. In one letter, my grandmother begged Pop not to let my uncle get his hands on the house after she was gone. She said he had stolen from them once before. That he had tried to forge checks. That he couldn't be trusted. In another, my father, who I never knew, thanked Pop for protecting Aaron and for not letting my mom use me to get to his money. My mother had apparently tried to get custody of me when I was small, not out of love, but for leverage. The legal documents included a trust deed that Pop had set up specifically to protect me in case anything happened to him. The will was no mistake. It was years in the making. And then I opened the safe. Inside the safe, there was cash, about $25,000. Jewelry. War medals. And another document. A handwritten letter from Pop. If you're reading this, then the rest of them are circling. They'll come for the house, and they'll lie doing it. But you already know that. You've always been the only one who showed up without asking for anything. This house is yours, because you've earned it. Don't let them take it. Not again. I cried for the first time since he died. The confrontation. Armed with everything I'd found, I called a family meeting. I invited my mom, my uncle, and both cousins. When they arrived, I laid it all out. The letters. The hidden room. The theft. The manipulation. My father's warnings. My grandmother's fears. My uncle went pale. My mom cried. My cousins left in silence. I told them clearly. I'm keeping the house. And if you harass me again, I'll go public with everything. Every lie. Every secret. Every letter. They haven't spoken to me since. Now. I live here now. Alone. Quietly. The house creaks. The wood groans. But it feels safe. Sometimes I sit in Pop's chair in the study and think about all the things he protected me from. He knew the family he raised. He knew they would twist everything. That they would call it greed when it was never about money, it was always about control. I miss him. But I'll honor him. By keeping his legacy from the people who only showed up when it was convenient. My family tried to steal my grandfather's house. Now they're suing me. But I found a second will they never knew about. After confronting my mom, uncle, and cousins with everything I found, the hidden room, the letters, the truth, I thought they'd back off. They didn't. If anything, I'd only poured gasoline on their fire. 2 months after that meeting, I got a thick envelope in the mail. It was from a law firm. Inside, a formal notice. My family was suing me, challenging the will. The lawsuit. Their argument. That my grandfather was not of sound mind when he wrote the will. They claimed he was confused, possibly coerced, and subject to undue influence, all legal ways of saying, we want to undo this. Even worse, they claimed there was a more recent will, one that named the estate to be divided equally. A will that I had never seen, never heard about. I was stunned. Could it be real? Was Pop manipulated late in life by someone else? My lawyer, a friend of my grandfather's, told me not to panic. People lie in these kinds of cases all the time, he said. Let's start digging. So we did. The new will. Sure enough, the updated will had a date, about 4 months before Pop passed away. It named my uncle as executor, and split the estate 50/25/25 between my mom, my uncle, and me. The signature looked legit. But I knew my grandfather. He was paranoid about being manipulated. He would never let my uncle touch a legal document after what happened in the 90s with the forged checks. And then I remembered something, the notary. Pop had a very specific notary he used for every legal document. So we tracked her down. Her name was Ruth, and she was retired, but when we called, she laughed and said, I haven't notarized anything for your grandfather since 2020. Why? Bingo. The signature on the second will had her name on it. But she didn't sign it. It was a forgery. Forged, filed, and criminal. My lawyer contacted the court and filed an emergency motion to block the probate of the fake will. We included sworn testimony from Ruth, digital records of the notary stamp, and handwriting analysis. 2 weeks later, the court ruled in our favor, temporarily suspending all claims from my family pending a full investigation. But here's where it gets worse. It turns out my uncle didn't just forge the will, he paid a sketchy paralegal to help file it and submitted documents with altered dates. We filed a counterclaim. Suddenly, the lawsuit flipped, I became the plaintiff. My uncle was being investigated for attempted fraud, forgery, and conspiracy to defraud an estate. My mom. She backed off. She claimed she didn't know the will was fake and that she just wanted what was fair. I didn't believe her. Not anymore. The second secret room. During all this chaos, I kept living in Pop's house. Fixing it up. Keeping it safe. One night, I was cleaning out the basement when I noticed something weird about the back wall. The bricks were different, slightly newer. And behind a dusty workbench, I found a latch. Another secret. This time, it was a hidden compartment, not a room. Inside was a fireproof box. Inside that box. A video. Pop's last word. It was an old USB drive labeled. For Aaron, if they come. The video was grainy. Pop sat in his study, wearing a flannel shirt. He looked tired, but determined. If you're watching this, I guess the vultures showed up. He smiled sadly. I knew they would. Your mother and uncle, they've always been about money. You're the only one who visited me without asking for anything. He looked straight into the camera. I left you the house because you understand the difference between family and entitlement. If they try to fight it, show this to the court. This is my voice. My decision. Not yours, not theirs. I cried like a kid. We filed the video as evidence. The aftermath. The investigation wrapped a few weeks ago. The court ruled. The fake will was invalid. My uncle committed will fraud and was facing felony charges. The original will, naming me as the sole inheritor of the house, was upheld. My uncle now faces possible jail time. My mother? She sent a single message. I hope you're happy. You broke the family. But the family was broken long before me. I live here now. The house is mine. I've repainted the walls. Restored the wood floors. I planted a garden in the back where Pop used to sit and smoke his pipe. It's quiet here. Sometimes lonely. But peaceful. I still talk to him, in my head, anyway. I think he'd be proud I fought back. What I learned. Blood means nothing without loyalty. Some people will lie, cheat, and steal, even from the dead. And sometimes the people who raised you are the same ones you must protect yourself from. I didn't want a war. But I finished it. For him. For me. For the version of family I wish we had. After winning the lawsuit over my grandfather's house, I discovered I wasn't who I thought I was. I thought it was over. After months of court battles, lies, and family betrayal, the house was finally mine. The forged will was thrown out. My uncle was facing criminal charges. My mother had gone silent. I could finally breathe. But I should have known, my grandfather wasn't done protecting me. There was one more secret. And this one changed everything. The letter hidden in plain sight. It happened while I was cleaning out the attic. There was an old wooden chest, one I'd seen 100 times growing up, always locked. Pop used it to store sentimental stuff, or so he said. Photos, papers, war medals. I'd never thought much of it. Now that I had full access to the house, I took out the key he kept in his desk and opened it. Inside was a stack of files, labeled by year. Birth certificates, death notices, school reports, a personal archive. I found mine. But something didn't add up. My birth certificate looked different. Not just old, but altered. Slightly smudged. There was a faint second outline under my last name. Under mother's name, it listed someone named Emily Cross. Not my mom. I blinked, confused. My stomach sank. Underneath it was an envelope marked. To Aaron, open only if you ever question who you are. The truth. Inside the envelope was a handwritten letter in Pop's tight, meticulous handwriting. Aaron. I raised you to be strong. To be honest. To survive in a world full of liars, especially the ones closest to you. There's something you need to know. My eyes kept jumping ahead, but I forced myself to read every word. Your mother, the woman you call your mom, is not your biological mother. She's your aunt. Your real mother, Emily, was her younger sister. She got pregnant young. The family was ashamed. She was sent away. She died giving birth to you. I took you in. I told them I'd raise you as my grandson. But the truth is, I raised you like a son. I dropped the paper. I couldn't breathe. Everything shifted. I thought back to all those moments that never made sense. The way my mom was always cold, distant, yet controlling. How she never talked about my father. How Pop treated me differently, more like a protector than just a grandparent. He was shielding me from a truth he knew would shatter everything. And he was right. I confronted her. I debated not saying anything. But after everything she'd done, trying to manipulate me, sue me, steal from me, I needed to hear her say it. So I called her. I know about Emily, I said. There was silence. Then, a long, broken exhale. You weren't supposed to find out. I asked why she never told me. She said Emily was the reckless one, the mistake, the girl who ruined everything. I raised you like my own, she said. But she didn't. She resented me. Treated me like a burden. Like something she was forced to tolerate. Pop had protected me from that truth. He stepped in. He gave me love that she never did. What this means. I'm not who I thought I was. And in a strange way, I feel more connected to Pop than ever. He didn't just give me a house. He gave me a life. He kept the wolves at bay, even when they were family. He raised me to think for myself. To value truth over comfort. To never let liars win. Final thoughts. I live in this house now, not just as its owner, but as its legacy. Every creaky floorboard and shadowed hallway feels different now. It's no longer just an inheritance. It's a sanctuary my grandfather built for me out of duty, pain, and love. He didn't just save me from poverty or loneliness. He saved me from them. From a family that would have erased me if it meant a bigger slice of the pie. If you have a Pop in your life, someone who gave you more than anyone else ever dared, thank them. Fight for their memory. Honor what they protected. I did. And now. I finally know who I am. I thought I knew everything about my family's lives, until my uncle sent me a letter from jail that made me question everything again. I haven't spoken to my uncle since the day the judge read the charges. Forgery. Attempted estate fraud. Filing false legal documents. He was sentenced to 18 months in prison, minimum security, but still. A man who once thought he'd inherit everything from Pop was now in an orange jumpsuit, eating state-issued mashed potatoes behind bars. I thought that would be the end. It wasn't. 3 weeks ago, I got a letter. From him. Handwritten. No return address. Just a prison barcode. Inside, 6 pages. Tight script. A final play. The letter. It started with the usual. You think you're better than all of us because you got the house. He always loved you more. That's why he kept secrets from the rest of us. Your truth is just one version of a man none of us really knew. But then, it shifted. If you're reading this, then you probably already know who your mother was. But you still don't know who your father is. That stopped me cold. Pop had never spoken about him. My real mother, Emily, had died giving birth. But my father? He was a blank space in my story. I thought he'd abandoned us. Turns out, it might have been more complicated. The threat beneath the truth. My uncle claimed he knew who my father was, and that Pop paid the man to disappear. He wasn't some deadbeat. He came looking for you when you were 5. Pop turned him away at the door. Said you'd never know. I saw it happen. I was there. And I still remember his name. He didn't write the name in the letter. Instead, he wrote, "If you want to know the rest, you'll have to come get it yourself." He left a prison visitation phone number. And one final sentence. You want the truth? It always has a price. The choice. I didn't tell anyone about the letter. Not my lawyer. Not my therapist. Not even Max, who I've grown close to again since all this began. I sat on it for 2 days. And then, curiosity won. The visit. I won't lie, walking into that prison was surreal. I'd dreamed of this moment 100 times. My uncle chained to a table, forced to admit what he'd done. But when I saw him, he didn't look broken. He looked smug. Like he'd been waiting. We sat. No handshake. He leaned forward and said, "You really want to know who your father is?" I nodded. He gave me a name. And my heart stopped. A twist from the past. The name he gave me. David Ross. I knew that name. Because Pop had an old friend with that name, someone I remembered from childhood. A man who used to bring fishing rods and talk politics with Pop on the porch. Someone who disappeared when I was maybe 5 or 6. I never connected the dots. My uncle smirked. He was around all the time when Emily got pregnant. You think that's a coincidence? You look like him, Aaron. Same nose. Same chin. Same way of walking. I didn't know what to say. Was it true? My uncle had lied before. But this felt different. After the visit. When I got home, I searched for David Ross. I found an address. Small town. Just a few hours away. I haven't reached out. Not yet. I don't know if I ever will. Pop wanted to keep him out of my life. And I trust Pop more than I trust anyone in my family. But now the question is alive. And once a question like that lives in your mind, it never fully dies. What I've learned. The truth is never simple. Family is not who raises you, it's who protects you. Sometimes silence isn't betrayal, it's mercy. And sometimes, the final lesson someone leaves you, is how to live without them. I may never meet David. I may never forgive my uncle. But I will live in this house. I will restore every inch of it. Because this place, creaky floors, haunted corners, and all, is the last real thing Pop left me. Not the wood. Not the title. But the truth. Even if it hurts.